Yeah, I should see it pop up any second now. We should be good today. I don't foresee any other strange things happening. All right, beautiful people. You know what? When the Sabbath is in the middle of the week, it almost seemed like 2 weekends. Granted, one day is a weekend, but yes, since this past weekend was like a 3-day weekend, it's like come back for one day. Well, we was here. It's the mixation of like the actual work day throughout the week, but it being Labor Day yesterday and nobody worked. Nobody was working yesterday because of the holiday, but we're not going to be here tomorrow because it's an actual Sabbath. So, it's an extra long weekend. Shalom, Mom. Josiah, shalom. All right, beautiful people. So today, remember I mentioned the other day, we finished with Nehemiah, but I decided we're going to, again, break out the Sefer so we can read, 3rd Esdras and 4th Esdras, or 3rd Ezra and 4th Ezra. So let me find this real quick over here. If you have your Sefer, you can break it out. If not, you can go ahead and listen. You also can pull this up online, but I'm not sure how close it reads to the actual Sefer. The Sefer is it reads almost just like the King James Version, with the exception of restoring some names, or let's just say putting in the Yiddish, the modern day Hebrew names, right? Hold on, let me find it. And this is, there we go. This is, the order of this is a little different from the regular KJV. Okay. Put this right here. So I got my spot. So we're going to read from there for the next, probably it's like the next week or so, while we go through 3rd Ezra and 4th Ezra, also known as 1st Esdras and 2nd Esdras. Okay. All right, y'all. It is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. June 1st, 2021, day 169 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, another 3-year consecutive day count, day 838. Y'all, today we're reading 3rd Ezra 1, 2, and 3. And they're pretty short books. I think this is like 12. I think 3rd Ezra is like 12 chapters. They're really short chapters, and I want to say, don't quote me on that. 2nd Ezra is a little bit long. I think it's like 16. It's somewhere, both of them around about that length. So we're going to read that, and then we're going to hop over to Fossilized Customs and pick up where we left off at yesterday. So first, let's do the Shema, and then we will go ahead and read 3rd Ezra. And you will see, well, you won't really see it today, but when we get to, because I was up reading it earlier this morning, when we get to 3rd Ezra chapter 4, 3 and 4, you'll begin to see some of it almost reads just like Nehemiah, right? Because it's going to get back into when they were about to build the wall and stuff. And we can tell that Ezra and Nehemiah is like a summation. It's like a summation of the full scroll, where they canonize it from. Okay. So let's hop on up here to the Shema. Shema Israel, YAHUAH. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting at verse 3. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as YAHUAH, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, YAHUAH, our God, He is one God. And you shall love YAHUAH your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, And they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God as he has commanded us. Okay. So let's go ahead and bring this up. If y'all have a Sefer, go ahead and pull it out if you haven't already. We are in third Ezra. I'm sorry. Okay. But if you actually have it, third Ezra starts on page 1373. Okay, y'all. So here we go. So hopefully I can remember the translations of some of these names, because they're using like Yahu and stuff like that. Although we won't see him in this book, but they're using the modern Hebrew names for him. Okay, I need my. Let's get one of these. Wait a minute. Okay. All right, y'all. Third Ezra chapter 1. And Yoshiyahu, which is Josiah. So remember, we read about King Josiah, the 8-year-old king. This is him. All right. And I'll translate the name. And Josiah held the feast of Passover, and here it says Pesach, but it's Passover, in Jerusalem, which is Jerusalem. And Josiah held the feast of Passover in Jerusalem unto Yahuwah, and offered the Passover on the 14th day of the month, having set the priests according to their daily courses, being arrayed in long garments in the temple of Yahuwah. And he spoke unto the Levites, the holy ministers of Israel, that they should hallow themselves unto Yahuwah, to set the holy ark of Yahuwah in the house that King Solomon, the son of David, had built. And said, Ye shall no more bear the ark upon your shoulders. Now therefore serve Yahuwah Elohim, and minister unto his people Israel, and prepare you after your families and kindreds, according as David the king of Israel prescribed, and according to the magnificence of Solomon his sons, and standing in the temple according to the several dignity of the families of you Levites who minister in the presence of your brethren, the children of Israel. Offer the Pesach in order, and make ready the sacrifices for your brethren, and keep the Pesach according to the commandment of Yahuwah, which was given unto Moses. And here it calls him Moshe. And unto the people that were found there, Josiah gave 30,000 lambs and kids, and 3,000 calves. These things were given of the king's allowance, according as he promised, to the people, to the priests, and to the Levites. And Yahu, who is this? I forget who this is. And I think, this is Hilkiah. Okay. And Hilkiah, Zechariah, and Yeliel, the governors of the temple, gave to the priests for the Passover offerings 2,600 sheep and 300 calves. And Jeconiah and Shemaiah and Nathanael his brother, and Kashav Yahu, I forget who that is, and Yeliel and Joram, captains over thousands, gave to the Levites for the Passover offerings 5,000 sheep and 700 calves. And when these things were done, the priests and Levites, having the matzah, or the unleavened bread, stood in very comely order according to the kindreds, and according to the several dignities of the fathers before the people, to offer to Yahuwah, as it is written in the Sefer of Moshe. And thus did they in the morning. And they roasted the Passover with fire, as appertains. As for the sacrifices, they sawed them in brass pots and pans with a good savor, and set them before all the people. And afterward they prepared for themselves and for the priests their brethren, the sons of Aaron. For the priests offered the fat until night, and the Levites prepared for themselves, and the priests their brethren, the sons of Aaron. The holy singers also, The sons of Asaph were in their order according to the appointment of David, to wit, Asaph, Zechariah, Jeduthun, who was of the king's retinue. Moreover, the porters were at every gate. It was against Torah for any to go from his ordinary service, for their brethren the Levites prepared for them. Thus were the things that belonged to the sacrifices of YAHUAH accomplished in that day, that they might hold the Pesach and offer sacrifices upon the altar of YAHUAH according to the commandment of the King Josiah. According to the commandment of King Josiah. So the children of Israel, which were present, held the Passover at that time, and the feast of sweet bread 7 days. And here unleavened bread is translated as sweet bread. Such a Passover was not kept in Israel since the time of the prophet Samuel. Yea, all the kings of Israel held not such a Passover as Josiah and the priests and the Levites and the Hebrews held with all of Israel that were found dwelling in Jerusalem. In the 18th year of the reign of Josiah was this Pesach kept, and the works of Josiah were upright before YAHUAH with a heart full of holiness. As for the things that came to pass in his time, they were written in former times concerning those that sinned and did wickedly against YAHUAH above all people and kingdoms, and how they grieved him exceedingly, so that the words of YAHUAH rose up against Israel. Now, after all these acts of Josiah, it came to pass that Pharaoh, the king of Mitzrayim, came to raise war. Remember, Mitzrayim is Egypt. So this part right here that we're about to read is about to sound familiar, because this is how King Josiah actually died, right? Okay. Now, after all these acts of Josiah, it came to pass that Pharaoh, the king of Mitzrayim, came to raise war at Carchemish upon Perah, and Josiah went out against him. But the king of Mitzrayim sent to him, saying, What have I to do with you, O king of Judah? I am not sent out from YAHUAH Elohim against you, for my war is upon Perah, and now YAHUAH is with me. Yea, YAHUAH is with me, hastening me forward. Depart from me and be not against YAHUAH. Howbeit, and this is almost word for word what we read over here in the Bible about Josiah in this particular incident. Howbeit, Josiah did not turn back his chariot from him, but undertook the fight with him, not regarding the words of the prophet Jeremiah spoken by the mouth of YAHUAH, but joined the battle with him in the plain of Megiddo, and the princes came against King Josiah. Then said the king unto his servants, Carry me away out of the battle, for I am very weak. And immediately his servants took him away out of the battle. Then he got up upon his second chariot, and being brought back to Jerusalem, died, and was buried in his father's sepulchre. And all in Judah, and in all Judah they mourned for Josiah. Yea, Jeremiah the prophet lamented for Josiah, and the chief men and the women made lamentation for him unto this day. And this was given out for an ordinance to be done continually in all the nation of Israel. These things are written in the sefer of the stories of the kings of Judah, and every one of the acts that Josiah did, and his glory and his understanding in the Torah of YAHUAH, and the things that he had done before, and the things now recited are reported in the sefer of the kings of Israel and Judah. So he was struck with an arrow. That's how he died, y'all. And the people took Jehoahaz, the son of Josiah, and made him king instead of Josiah his father, when he was 23 years old. And he reigned in Judah and in Jerusalem 3 months. And then the king of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, deposed him from reigning in Jerusalem. And he set a tax upon the land of 100 talents of silver and 1 talent of gold. The king of Mitzrayim also made King Jehoiakim, his brother, king of Judah and Jerusalem. And he bound Jehoiakim and the nobles, but Xerxes, his brother, I forget who this was, how to pronounce this name, like they have it in the KJV. But Xerxes, his brother, he apprehended and brought him out of Mitzrayim. 25 years old was Jehoiakim when he was made king in the land of Judah and Jerusalem, and he did evil before Yahuwah. Wherefore against him Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babel, came up and bound him with a chain of brass and carried him into Babel. Nebuchadnezzar also took of the holy vessels of Yahuwah and carried them away and set them in his own temple at Babel. But those things that are recorded of him and of his uncleanness and impiety are written in the chronicles of the kings. And Jehoiakim and his son reigned in his stead. He was made king being 18 years old, and reigned but 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and did evil before Yahuwah. So after a year, Nebuchadnezzar sent and caused him to be brought into Babel with the holy vessels of Yahuwah, and made Zedekiah king of Judah and Jerusalem when he was 21 years old, and he reigned 11 years. And he did evil also in the sight of Yahuwah, and cared not for the words that were spoken unto him by the prophet Jeremiah from the mouth of Yahuwah. And after that, King Nebuchadnezzar had made him to swear by the name of Yahuwah. He forswear himself and rebelled, and hardening his neck, his heart, he transgressed the Torah of YAHUAH Elohim of Israel. The governors also of the people and of the priests did many things against the Torah, and passed all the pollutions of all nations, and defiled the temple of Yahuwah, which was sanctified in Jerusalem. Nevertheless, the Elohim of their fathers, or the God of their fathers, sent by his messenger to call them back, because he spared them and his tabernacle also. But they had his messengers in derision, and look, when Yahuwah spoke unto them, they made a sport of his prophets, so far forth that he, being wroth with his people for their great wickedness, commanded the kings of the Chaldeans to come up against them, who slew their young men with the sword, yea, even within the compass of their holy temple, and spared neither young man nor maid, old man nor child among them, for he delivered all into their hands. And they took all the holy vessels of Yahuwah, both great and small, with the vessels of the ark of Yahuwah and the king's treasures, and carried them away into Babel. As for the house of Yahuwah, they burnt it, and broke down the walls of Jerusalem, and set fire upon her towers. As for her glorious things, they never ceased till they had consumed and brought all to naught. And the people that were not slain with the sword, he carried unto Babel, who became servants to him and his children, till the Persians reigned, to fulfill the word of Yahuwah spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths. The whole time of her desolation she shall rest, until the full term of 70 years. Okay, chapter 2 of 3rd Ezra. In the first year of Cyrus, king of the Persians, in the first year of Cyrus, king of the Persians, that the word of Yahuwah might be accomplished, that he had promised by the mouth of Jeremiah, Yahuwah raised up the spirit of Cyrus, the king of the Persians, and he made proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and also by writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus, king of the Persians, Yahuwah of Israel, El Elyon Yahuwah, has made me king of the whole world, and commanded me to build him a house at Jerusalem in Judah. If therefore there be any of you that are his people, let Yahuwah, even his Adonai, be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem that is in Judah, and build the house of Yahuwah of Israel. For he is Yahuwah that dwells in Jerusalem. Whosoever then dwell in the places about, let him help him. Those, I say, that are his neighbors, with gold and with silver, with gifts, with horses, and with cattle, and with other things which have been set forth by vow for the temple of Yahuwah at Jerusalem. Then the chief of the families of Yahuwah and of the tribe of Benjamin stood up, the priests also, and the Levites, and all they whose mind YAHUAH had moved to go up and to build a house for YAHUAH at Jerusalem, and they that dwelt round about them, and helped them in all things with silver and gold, with horses and cattle, and with very many free gifts of a great number whose minds were stirred up thereto. King Cyrus also brought forth the holy vessels which Nebuchadnezzar had carried away from Jerusalem, and had set up in his temple of idols. Now when Cyrus, the king of the Persians, had brought them forth, he delivered them to Mithridath his treasurer, and by him they were delivered to Sheshbazzar, the governor of Judah. And this was the number of them: 1,000 golden cups, and 1,000 of silver, censers of silver 29, vials of gold 30, and of silver 2,410, and 1,000 other vessels. So all the vessels of gold and of silver which were carried away were 5,409. These were brought back by Sheshbazzar, together with them of the captivity from Babel to Jerusalem. But in the time of Artaxerxes, king of the Persians, Bishlam and Mithridath and Tabbael and Rehum and Baal-Team and Shimshai the secretary, with others that were in commission with them, dwelling in Shamaron and other places, wrote unto him against them that dwell in Judah and Jerusalem these Sepharim following, or these scrolls. To King Artaxerxes our Lord, your servants Rehum the storyteller, and Shimshai the scribe, and the rest of their council, and the judges that are in Silo, Aram, and Phoenicia, be it known to the Lord King that the Hebrews that are up from you to us, being come into Jerusalem, that rebellious and wicked city, do build the marketplaces and repair the walls of it, and do lay the foundation of the temple. Remember this letter we read? Good risings, Nikki. It has been a minute. This is that same letter that we read about in Nehemiah and Ezra. Now, if this city and the walls thereof be made up again, they will not only refuse to give tribute, but also rebel against kings. As for much as the things pertaining to the temple are now in hand, we think it not meet to neglect such a matter, but to speak unto our Lord the King, to the intent that if it be your pleasure, it may be sought out in the scrolls of your fathers, and you shall find in the chronicles what is written concerning these things, and shall understand that that city was rebellious, troubling both kings and cities, and that the Hebrews were rebellious and raised always wars therein, for the which cause even this city was made desolate. Wherefore now we do declare unto you, O Lord the King, that if this city be built again, and the walls thereof set up anew, you shall from henceforth have no passage into Silo, Aram, and Phoenicia. Then the king wrote back again to Rehum the storyteller, to Baal-Team, to Shimshai the scribe, and to the rest that were in commission, and dwellers in Shamaron and Aram and Phoenicia after this manner. I have read the Sefer, or the scrolls, which ye have sent unto me. Therefore I commanded to make diligent search, and it has been found that that city was from the beginning practicing against kings, and the men therein were given to rebellion and war, and that mighty kings and fierce were in Jerusalem, who reigned and exacted tributes in Silo, Aram, and Phoenicia. Now therefore I have commanded to hinder those men from building the city, and heed to be taken that there be no more done in it, and that those wicked workers proceed no further to the annoyance of kings. Then King Artaxerxes, his seraphim, or his scrolls being read, Rehum, Shimshai the scribe, and the rest that were in commission with them, removing in haste toward Jerusalem with a troop of horsemen and a multitude of people in battle array, and began to hinder the builders, and the building of the temple in Jerusalem ceased until the 2nd year of the reign of Darius, the king of the Persians. All right, 3rd Ezra chapter 3, which is the last chapter we're going to read for the day. Now when Darius reigned, he made a great feast unto all his subjects, and to all his household, and unto all the princes of Madi and Persia, and to all the governors and captains and lieutenants that were under him, from India unto Cush, of 127 provinces. And when they had eaten and drunken, and being satisfied, were gone home, then Darius the king went into his bedchamber and slept, and soon after awoke. So notice also in here, all the things that have been that was once taken away or not canonized and then labeled the Apocrypha. You will realize that through here it gives you more landmarks to whereby the original land of Israel was, right? Because it translates the surrounding nations by name, like we just heard India, right? Where's the real India located, right? It's not over here in the Western world. It's on the other side of where we live at, right? But it also mentions a few other places as well. So I know it wasn't canonized, then it was canonized, then it was labeled the Apocrypha or hidden, or these are uninspired, don't read these, and they kind of went back and forth with them, adding them, then taking away, then we'll give them back, but we won't necessarily add it. You just, if you want to see, you need to go pull it from somewhere else, go get a separate book, but some Bibles have actually added it back, right? And so when we read some of these things that are available, especially the scrolls where the like the Bible we have is like a summation of not even everything. It's like a small little portion of what happened. But if we read the other things, and not just the Apocrypha, but other letters and scrolls, we'll see that what we've been having that's canonized in the Holy Bible is literally like a summation. It just give you like it really gives you bullet points, but it leaves out a lot of the detail, which we find out when we read other things that fill in different things that makes the Bible make sense in a lot of places. And it'll stop some of these wrong teachings and thoughts and theories that's been peddled and pushed without the surrounding evidence to confirm that no, that is impossible, right? So that's something else to think about if you have a Ceph or if you have an Apocrypha or some of the other scrolls that haven't been canonized, right? Okay. I'll read this again. Now, when Darius reigned, he made a great feast unto all his subjects and unto all his household and unto all the princes of Madi and Persia and to all the governors and captains and lieutenants that were under him, from India unto Cush, of 127 provinces. And when they had eaten and drunken and being satisfied, were gone home, then Darius, the king, went into his bedchamber and slept, and soon after awoke. Then 3 young men that were of the guard kept the king's body, spoke to one another, let every one of us speak a sentence, he that shall overcome, and whose sentence shall seem wiser than the others. All right. You got look from your shirt. It's a red shirt. Okay. We also read about this, and you'll see what I'm saying as we go through. 3 young men that were of the guard, they kept the king's body, spoke one to another. Let every one of us speak a sentence that he shall overcome, and whose sentence shall seem wiser than the others. Unto him shall the king Darius give great gifts and great things in token of victory, as to be clothed in purple, to drink in gold, and to sleep upon gold, and a chariot with bridles of gold, and a head tire of fine linen, and a chain about his neck. And he shall sit next to Darius because of his wisdom, and shall be called Darius, his cousin. And then everyone wrote his sentence, sealed it, and put it under the pillow of King Darius, and said that when the king is risen, some will give him the writings, and know whose side the king and the 3 princes of Persia shall judge, that his sentence is the wisest. To him shall the victory be given, as was appointed. Okay, so remember there was these 3 guys, and they said whoever can come up with the wisest saying, he will pretty much be second in command to King Darius, and you will be called King Darius's cousin, right? So y'all remember this story when we read this? All right. You'll remember once I start going over what each of them wrote. Okay. The first wrote, wine is strongest. The second wrote, the king is strongest. The third wrote, women are strongest, but above all things, truth bears away the victory. And we also not only read this in the Bible, but we also read this in the Legends of the Jews. It gives more detail. Actually, I think the Legends of the Jews, although this gives some detail, I think the Legends of the Jews give way more details with this right here. All right, so the third wrote, women are the strongest, but above all things, truth bears away the victory. Now, when the king was risen up, they took their writings and delivered them unto him, and so he read them. And sending forth, he called all the princes of Persia and Madi, and the governors, and the captains, and the lieutenants, and the chief officers, and sat him down in the royal seat of judgment, and the writings were read before them. And he said, call the young men, and they shall declare their own sentences. So they were called and came in, and he said unto them, declare unto us your mind concerning the writings. Then began the first, who had spoken of the strength of wine. And he said thus, O ye men, how exceeding strong is wine! It causes all men to err that drink it. It makes the mind of the king and of the fatherless child to be all one, of the bondman and of the free man, of the poor man and of the rich. It turns also every thought into jollity and mirth, so that a man remembers neither sorrow nor debt. And it makes every heart rich, so that a man remembers neither king nor governor. And it makes to speak all things by talents. Babe, you drink this? I didn't know you made it. Yeah, I made it in the refrigerator. Oh, thanks, man. You're welcome. Okay. And it makes every heart rich. You may need to stir it up because the apple is settled. You're welcome. I juiced some fresh apples. And it makes every heart rich, so that a man remembers neither king nor governor. And it makes to speak all things by talents. And when they are in their cups, they forget their love both to friends and brethren. And a little after, draw out swords. But when they are from the wine, they remember not what they have done. In there. O ye men, is not wine the strongest that enforces to do thus? And when he had so spoken, he held his peace. You know, let me go ahead and read chapter 4 so you can hear the other two as they explain there, so we don't break this up. Okay. 3rd Ezra chapter 4. Then the second that had spoken of the strength of the king began to say, O ye men, do not excel in strength. Do not men excel in strength that bear rule over sea and land and all things in them? But yet the king is more mighty, for he is Lord of all these things and has dominion over them. And whatsoever he commands them, they do. If he bid them make war, the one against the other, they do it. If he send them out against the enemies, they go. They break down mountain walls and towers. They slay and are slain, and transgress not the king's commandment. If they get the victory, they bring all to the king. Okay, babe. All right. I'm going to check on you in a minute. If they get the victory, they bring all to the king, as well as the spoil, as all things else. Likewise, for those that are no soldiers and have not to do with wars, but use husbandry, when they have reaped again that which they have sown, they bring it to the king, and compel one another to pay tribute unto the king. And yet he is but one man. If he command to kill, they kill. If he command to spare, they spare. If he command to smite, they smite. If he command to make desolate, they make desolate. If he command to build, they build. If he command to cut down, they cut down. If he command to plant, they plant. So all his people and his armies obey him. Furthermore, he lies down, he eats and drinks, and takes his rest. And these keep watch round about him. Neither may anyone depart and do his own business, neither disobey they him in anything. O ye men, how should not the king be mightiest, when in such sort he is obeyed? and he held his tongue. All right. So now we're about to get into the third one. When they said the woman is the strongest, but truth supersedes all of them. All right. And that was like a two-part answer from the third guy, right? Then the third who had spoken of the woman and of the truth, this was Zerubbabel. He began to speak. O ye men, it is not the great king, nor the multitude of men, neither is it wine that excels. Who is it then that rules them, or has the lordship over them? Are they not women? Women have borne the king and all the people that bear rule by sea and land. Even of them came they, and they nourished them up that planted the vineyards. From hence when wine comes, from hence the wine comes. These also make garments for men. These bring glory unto men, and without women, men cannot be. Yea, and if men have gathered together gold and silver, or any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty? And letting all those things go, do they not gape, and even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her? And have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, or any good thing whatsoever? A man leaves his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleaves unto his woman. He sticks not to spend his life with his woman, and remembers neither father nor mother nor country. By this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do you not labor and toil, and give and bring all to the woman? Yea, a man takes his sword and goes his way to rob and steal, to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, and looks upon a lion and goes into the darkness. And when he has stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he brings it all to his love. I mean, who can disagree with this? Wherefore, a man loves his woman better than father or mother. Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women, and become servants for their sakes. Many also have perished, have erred, and sinned for women. And now, do you not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all regions fear to touch him? Hold on. Girl, I know. Okay. Many have also perished, have erred, and sinned for women. And now, do you not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all regions fear to touch him? Yet did I see him, and upon me, I think that's a name. Yeah, that's a name. Yet did I not see him, and upon me, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admirable Barticus, sitting under the right hand of the king, and taking the crown from the king's head and setting it upon her own head. She also struck the king with her left hand. And yet for all this the king gaped and gazed upon her with open mouth. If she laughed upon him, he laughed also. But if she took any displeasure at him, the king was fain to flatter, that she might be reconciled to him again. O ye men, how can it be but women should be the strong, seeing they do thus? Then the king and the princes looked upon one another. So he began to speak of the truth. They was like, well, shoot. Well, he got a point, man. Well, he might have won this one. But he wasn't finished. Wait, there's more. Then the king and the princes looked upon one another. So he began to speak the truth. O ye men, are not women strong? Great is the earth, high is the heaven, swift is the sun in his course. For he compasses the heavens round about, and fetches his course again to his own place in one day. Is he not great that makes these things? For great is the truth, and stronger than all things. All earth cries upon the truth, and the heaven blesses it. All works shake and tremble at it, and with it is no unrighteous thing. Wine is wicked, the king is wicked, women are wicked, All the children of men are wicked, and such are all their wicked works, and there is no truth in them. In their unrighteousness also they shall perish. As for the truth, it endures and is always strong. It lives and conquers forevermore. With her, there is no accepting of persons or rewards, but she does the things that are just and refrains from all unjust and wicked things. And all men do well like of her, and all men do well like of her works. Neither in her judgment is any unrighteousness, and she is the strength, kingdom, power, and majesty of all ages. Blessed be the Elohim, or the God of truth. And with that, he held his peace. And all the people then shouted and said, Great is truth and mighty above all things. Then said the king unto him, Ask what you will more than is appointed in the writing, and we will give it to you, because you are found wisest, and you shall sit next to me and shall be called my cousin. Cousin. Then said he unto the king, Remember your vow, which you have vowed to build Jerusalem in the day when you came to your kingdom, and to send away all the vessels that were taken away out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart when he vowed to destroy Babel, and to send them again thither. You also have vowed to build up the temple, which the Edomites burned when Judah was made desolate by the Chaldeans, and now, or the Chaldeans. The Chasm is the Chaldeans. And now, O Lord the King, this is that which I require and which I desire of you. And this is the princely liberality proceeding from yourself. I desire, therefore, that you make good the vow, the performance whereof with your own mouth you have vowed to the King of heaven. Then Darius the king stood up and kissed him and wrote sepharim, or scrolls, for him unto all the treasurers and lieutenants and captains and governors, that they should safely convey on their way both him and all those that go up with him to build Jerusalem. He wrote sepharim also to the lieutenants that were in Silo, Aram, and Phoenicia, and unto them in Lebanon, that they should bring cedar wood from Lebanon unto Jerusalem, and that they should build the city with him. Moreover, he wrote for all the Hebrews that went out of his realm up into Judah concerning their freedom, that no officer, no ruler, no lieutenant, no treasurer should forcibly enter into their doors, and that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute, and that the Edomites should give over the villages of the Hebrews which they held, yea, that there should be yearly given 20 talents to the building of the temple until the time that it were built, and other 10 talents yearly to maintain the burnt offerings upon the altar every day, as they had a commandment to offer 17, and that all they that went from Babel to build the city should have free liberty, as well as their posterity and all the priests that went away. He wrote also concerning the charges and the priests' vestments wherein they ministered, and likewise for the charges of the Levites to be given them until the day that the house was finished and Jerusalem was built. So he said, okay, I'm letting all your people go. Matter of fact, my people gonna help your people. It's almost, it essentially is like the same thing that happened when Yahuwah released them from Egypt, but King Darius' heart was pliable, right? So Yahuwah didn't have to drop down a bunch of plagues and stuff on him, right? Yahuwah wisely set this up where King Darius, he said, you know what, man? Cousin, come here. Look, everything that we wrote in this contract, like you see all these things that you want, whoever said the wise is saying you get all of this, ask anything else you want besides everything that you getting in here, because clearly you are the wisest person alive on this earth. And the like they say, the spirit of the holy gods resides in you, like they said to Daniel, right? He said, ask whatever you will, right? And we know that he was definitely not selfish, because he could have taken on a lot of things just for himself. But he said, the only thing I require, King, is that you keep the promise that you made for my people to help us rebuild our home. He said, not only will I do that, We're going to give you everything you need. Matter of fact, y'all going to get to live tax-free. We're not extracting any more taxes from your land or any of your posterity forever. They're not taxed like everybody's taxed here. Nobody's going to be taxed from your land. All the surrounding nations and land masses that have been taken from you, I'm ordering that they all give them back, right? And nobody's going to come into your house messing with you. Everybody going to leave y'all alone. This is what the king just said to his cousin, right? And likewise for the charges of the Levites to be given them until the day that the house was finished and Jerusalem was built up. And he commanded to give to all that kept the city pensions and wages. He sent away also all the vessels from Babel that Cyrus had set apart, and all that Cyrus had given in commandment. The same charge he also to be done, and sent unto Jerusalem. Now when this young man was gone forth, he lifted up his face to heaven toward Jerusalem, and praised the King of heaven, and said, from you comes victory, from you comes wisdom, and yours is the glory, and I am your servant. Blessed are you who have given me wisdom, for to you I give thanks, O YAHUAH of our fathers. So he took the Sepharim or the scrolls, and went out and came unto Babel, and told it to all his brethren. And they praised the Elohim of their fathers, because he had given them freedom and liberty to go up and build Jerusalem and the temple, which is called by his name. And they feasted with instruments of music and gladness 7 days. And we're going to pause right here for today, my beautiful people. That was a good one. Let me just add this extra chapter in here. All right. So that was 3rd Ezra. We read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, this is a part of the Apocrypha, or the books that weren't canonized, or then they added them later, then they took them back out. But that's where that comes from. You can find a version of it online for free. This is a Sefer. I purchased this from Amazon. Anybody can get one. I'm not sure what the price is of it now, but when I purchased it, it was $100. So I don't know. They may have a discount, but they do have an online version of it. You can download the online version, and the online version, last time I checked, it was half the price. So it was like $49. I'm not sure what the price is today. Like I said, I purchased them over a year ago. So, but if you want it, you can have it. But if not, there's also an online version that is absolutely free. So use the free version if that's what you need. All right. Okay, so I'm trying to get this because my little girl baby then moved my chair that I normally sit this on. So I gotta make sure it don't fall off the table. So let's hop on over here to Fossilized Customs. Do me a favor, Tootie. Give me that. Push that chair back over here, please. And we stopped on page 124. Put it over here.
Help me now.
If you gave that to Zay, why can't he open his own? Or you telling me this for Zay, but when you get around the corner, you really gonna eat it. That's what you gonna eat it when you get around the corner. You ain't had a lie. You could have just said, I want another one. Go on, girl. Kids. Okay. Page 124. Okay, so yesterday we was talking about Albert Pike, y'all, and the Illuminati. Okay, so this is just picking up. So today we was talking about the Masons and some of the secret societies and stuff, how it got started, and it's going to bring up the Eastern Star, the wives of the Masons. But we know today a lot of them, they can just join the society. Excuse me, and their husband doesn't necessarily have to be a Mason, right? Okay, but all right. So let's see. Let me read this last paragraph from yesterday. And then we'll go right. Where we at? 49 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna go back to page 123, and I'm gonna start reading this last paragraph. Okay, where it says until recently, where it tells you about the Mazzini-Pike plan and what the ultimate goal of world domination. Look, y'all, and when I put yesterday my title, I had the code word my title because apparently I said another trigger word or whatever. And when you pulled it up, my mom actually called and told me it was the new world order. Clearly is another trigger word, right? So they didn't delete my video and they didn't give me a strike, but it started popping up, that whole little thing where you're talking about something that'll tell you is false information. But clearly we know, we've even heard the government talking about the new world order. Their presidents, this is on record that they are talking about a new world order, right? But they put in there what I was giving out was false information. I'm like, God darn it. So what I had to do, I wasn't sure if it was going to still pick up my voice going through it saying it, but what I did, I changed the title and I changed some of the letters to numbers where you can still read the title saying New World Order. And I had to change it in my description box as well. So after I did that, and about 5 minutes later, I checked it. Once it updated in its algorithm, it automatically removed because it didn't recognize the new way I spelled it. So hopefully it'll stay that way. So if you see it pop back up, we all clearly know that the New World Order is something that the government even now currently talks about, right? Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you just in case you saw it and then you saw it disappear. You weren't sure what was going on. So that's what it was. Okay. I went back to page 123. Until recently, this letter, so the letter that it's talking about is the letter that Albert Pike wrote to the different levels of the Freemasons and stuff, and the different levels of truth and understanding that they have. And he said, it's not until you reach like the higher levels in Masonry to where you actually realize that the God you're worshiping is not the God who created heaven and earth. They outright tell you, and they call him by name. They say we worship Lucifer. But they say this is what you tell the people of the lower ranks, right? Because we need all their energy. We need their help and stuff. You need to lie to them. This is what you say to them, right? But to the higher degrees, this is what you need to say to them, because we need their energy on a whole nother level to keep this plan going forward, right? So the masses of people that are ignorant, that's why people think they can be Freemasons and sit inside a church or worship God and be a Freemason or Eastern Star, and if they think that way, you can clearly tell they are on the lower levels and they don't have the true understanding of what this brotherhood is really about. And they intertwine with fraternities and sororities and stuff, but you don't find this out until you get higher. You just think it's a brotherhood. It's something we join. Yes, you help us build here, invite you to different places, all these things, right? Good connections, building with artists, and those are good things. But as they climb higher, they begin to understand how sinister their plans are for what they're doing, and some choose to back out of it completely. Some choose just to stay in it, but not ascend any higher. Okay, I don't want to know that. I'm gonna just stay here. Y'all ain't gotta tell me all that. I'm gonna just keep working like I was working. It's like they red pill or blue pill, right? Then when they begin to find out, put me back in the matrix. I don't know that, but they stay there and they don't get out of it, right? So that's what this is. And a lot of Freemasons and Eastern Stars, if they're not aware of this information, they'll fight to the bloody death with you about this. So no, this is not what we don't worship Lucifer. And because they don't understand, they don't know, right? Because they're right in the mix of it and they're blind, they can't see. Once they step back and they realize it, oh man, I was blind. Okay. So this is the letter that they're talking about. Okay, let me just go back up just a little bit. Okay, let me just go back up to the middle of the page. Okay, just in case you weren't here yesterday, I'll read this little sampling of the letter. Okay, Mazzini, in a letter dated January 22nd, 1870, wrote to Pike, "We must create a super rite, RITE, which will remain unknown to which we call those Masons, which will remain unknown to which we will call those Masons of high degree whom we shall select. With regard to our brothers in Masonry, these men must be pledged to the strictest secrecy. Through this supreme right, we will govern all Freemasonry, which will become the one international center, the more powerful because its direction will be unknown." This letter was published in the book Occult Theocracy by Lady Queensborough, pages 208 to page 209. Stop. Don't get any more. If they want one, no. If he need one, he can come get it himself. Supreme councils were formed in Charleston, South Carolina, in the United States, in Rome, and in Berlin. Known secretly as Palladism, it is the cult of Satan in the inner shrines of a secret ritual to surpass all other secret rituals. On July the 14th, 1889, Pike issued this statement to the 23 Supreme Councils of the world. That which we must say to the crowd is, and this is to the lower ranking level people, right? This is which we must say to the crowd. We worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition, leading them to believe we're worshiping the God who created the heaven and earth, right? He said, but to you, sovereign grand inspectors general, we say this. Like, we about to tell you the truth. This is what you tell them. Get them believing that we all worshiping the same God. But to you, this is what we need y'all to tell those of higher rankings, those inspector generals. This is what y'all need to know, right? To you, sovereign grand inspectors general, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai illuminate him? Yes, Lucifer is God. Whew. We all clearly know Lucifer is not God. I might use this for my title today. I might use that for my title today, but I know people just gonna comment on that without even listening to it, right? But it'll draw me in. What? We know she definitely going off the deep end now. She going right here saying Lucifer is God. Y'all didn't listen to my video yet either, did you? If I put that, I might need to temper it with something in parentheses just so to kind of draw them in. Okay. General Albert Pike, 33rd degree, quoted from the Freemason, the organ of English Freemasonry, January 19th, 1935. In 1871, Giuseppe Mazzini issued a remarkable letter in which he graphically outlined plans for 3 world wars. Remember, we talked about this yesterday. This is what they're trying to do over the course of time, which is why they need people who are initiated in higher degrees and are in positions of authority throughout governments and in religion, just in case they die off, they can keep reproducing themselves and pushing this information so that as the generations die, their plan continues on. It's almost like they've created, you know how you prepare wills and estate plans and wealth estate plans for your family so that as the patriarchs and matriarchs die off, the generations that are coming, that are currently living, they can continue on with the plan and continue developing it. This is exactly what they've done. They've used it. It's going on in the governments. It's going on with religion. You see a lot of it in the New Testament. For those who have eyes to see can see it. And those who are fighting against it, you can consider them to be of the lower ranking masses who are sheep being led to the slaughter, right? And they're saying like, well, this is all coming to pass. Of course, this is coming to pass. It's a part of their wealth inheritance will that they've set up for the generations to keep this going as they die off, right? Look, listen. General Albert Pike, 33rd degree, quoted from the Freemason, the organ of English Freemasonry, January 19, 1935. In 1871, Giuseppe Mazzini issued a remarkable letter in which he graphically outlined plans for 3 wars. Until recently, this letter was on display in the British Museum in London. Pike aided in making this plan known in the U.S. It was a blueprint for 3 wars called the Mazzini-Pike Plan. Its ultimate goal was eventual world domination. The letter outlined 3 relatively simple strategies. It called for communism, fascism, and the struggle for the Mideast to foment 3 global wars and at least 2 major revolutions. World War I was to destroy the Tsarist government of Russia and replace it with militant atheism. World War II would begin by manipulating Great Britain and Germany to achieve a global war, which was done almost single-handedly by Adolf Hitler. World War III of the Mazzini-Pike blueprint called for the firing up of the controversy between the Israeli and the Muslim world. They hoped that the Zionists and the Muslims would destroy one another and bring the rest of the world into a final conflict. The Great Battle would usher in a complete social, political, and economic chaos. To fill the void created by the Great Battle would come a world government headed by the Illuminati. In Illuminati doctrine, Lucifer is God and Satanism is heresy, right? Okay, so now we pick up where we start today on page 124, and it says, end of internet data. If you research the man named Ignaz de Loyola, you will find that he founded the Alumbrados, which eventually became the Inquisition. Mankind's enemy is not flesh and blood, but spiritual. The world is controlled presently by Satan or the dragon. And you can see that the conflicts around the world are rooted in religious differences that caused by his divide and conquer methods and driven by greed. Here in the U.S., Norman Thomas ran for president in 1936 on the socialist ticket and stated the American people would never knowingly adopt socialism, but under the name of liberalism, they will adopt every fragment of the socialist program, and America will be a socialist nation without ever knowing how it happened, right? And we can clearly see that. The word Nazi is short for National Socialist Party. The objective of fascism, and National Socialism is government control of business, religion, the family, and the economy. Look up the definitions for fascism and Nazi in a dictionary, and you will be amazed that they are identical to the aims of the socialism we find ourselves surrounded by. Where is the Illuminati today? Let's find out. And also, I know we're gonna end this shortly because we're already out, but I want to read this next section. But also, if y'all pay attention, and I know they're like, oh, all of this happened because of COVID and everything, and so they got different things and different bailouts and stuff that they have going on, right? But if you understand just a little bit of this stuff, you'll realize that and think about this, and we found this to be true, and I mentioned this before, right? So with COVID going on and unemployment and all this stuff, it's hard to get, it's not a lot of people, but it is a lot of people who are choosing not to go back to work because they get paid more in unemployment by not working, right? So when we need help for some of our extra jobs, it's hard to get extra manpower from some of the manpower services that we have a contract with. They said, well, we're sorry, it's hard to get people to come in. They're getting unemployment, and unemployment is paying them more than them actually working hours, right? So what's happening? If you look at that just a little bit deeper, you don't really got to do too much digging with that. If you look at that, look at how the government keeps giving handouts. What it's doing, is you almost, and my husband was talking about this the other day, think about when there was a famine going on and how Israel actually got into the land of Egypt, right? Remember what began to happen? As the famine happened, they began to go up to Egypt for food. And once they expended all their money, they then began to trade in their cattle, their herd and stuff for food just so they could eat. And then after they expended everything else, they had nothing left else to give but their bodies. They sold their own selves into slavery or into indentured servitude. Well, let us work for you, we'll sell ourselves. It was like they made a contract. Let us work for you for this long for food, right? That's how everybody got in there. You can see that same thing happening with the workforce and some of the things, and people depending on these government handouts and the stimuluses that they're giving people. They're talking about stimulating the economy. No, they're making you dependent upon them, where you're looking for these handouts. Well, we're waiting on the government. And while you're getting these stimulus checks and all these handouts and kickbacks and stuff, not that you shouldn't take it, because if you need it, take it. But when you take it, try and be smart about it. Use it like my mom said, and instead of giving people handouts, give them a hand up, right? If that's what you need at the moment, take it. But take it and apply it to somewhere where it's going to benefit you and your family. Like these big $10,000 stimuluses or whatever, especially if you got a big family. If you're getting these, instead of taking this and going to buy you a new car or putting all this money on your back and in your belly, how about putting it aside and purchasing you some land or a house or something that's going to produce some wealth for you, or a place where you can go and actually begin to build on it yourself and create gardens and stuff. So when they control the supermarkets and all the stores and all these things, because the people have taken loans to keep their businesses open because they're completely trusting the government and haven't allowed the ingenuity and the creativity to keep their doors open so they can keep their people working, they kind of enslave themselves to the government, right? And when you can't keep up the government note, you have pretty much said to the government, well, if I can't, when at the point where I can no longer pay you, you can come take my business, right? And all of your stuff is going to be taken. May it never get to that point for any of us, but if you're sitting here looking, that is what's happening. And people's like, where my stimulus check, my tax, all these things, y'all, have y'all thought about investing anything? Now, don't go do no ridiculous investments that you haven't researched and looked into, but at least do something, invest in something that's going to make you independent of the government system, where you can still live. If all the crap hits the fan, you can still stand, you and your family. Like, you don't have to be waiting around till the government is giving you this and giving you that, right? Pay attention, people. You can see this plan unraveling. This has been in effect for millennia. If you have the history, you go back, you can see this stuff happening through the years. This plan that they talk about, this has been in effect for a very long time, right? We've been born into this beast system that has been ongoing for over 2,000 years. And they're about at the point of world domination, where the UN takes over. Right, with all this stuff, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep these wars going with the stuff that's happening in Palestine and Israel, all this stuff, right? So just in case you weren't paying attention, and I'm gonna read this last section. But if you gotta go to work, people go to work. Where is the Illuminati today? Let's find out. The Jesuit Illuminati and Council on Foreign Relations. The excerpt by Myron Fagan. Now then, this satanic plot was launched back in the 1760s when it first came into existence under the name Illuminati. The Illuminati was organized by Adam Weishaupt. Born a Jew, he converted to Catholicism and became a Catholic priest. At the behest of the newly organized House of Rothschild, he defected and organized the Illuminati. The Rothschilds financed that operation and every war since then, beginning with the French Revolution, and has been promoted by the Illuminati, operating under various names and guises. And if y'all didn't know, war is big business. The United States and everybody, they will call a war at any hot second because it allows them to continue keep using money, and they can call like the hurricanes and all these things, the hurricanes that they call them and that never show up. They can put into play the what do they call it? The state of emergency, which gives them continual access to funds. So if you think about all this stuff, it's crazy, y'all. This order operates under various names and guises because after the Illuminati was exposed and became notorious, Weishaupt and his conspirators began to operate under various other names. In the United States, immediately after World War I, they set up what they called the Council on Foreign Relations, commonly referred to as the CFR. And this CFR is actually the Jesuit Illuminati in the United States and its hierarchy. So watch the behavior of the UN, the WHO. We all by now should know who the WHO is. WHO, World Health Organization, Dr. Fauci, right? So watch the behavior of the UN, which is the United Nations, the WHO, WHO, World Health Organization, the Federal Reserve Bank, and the World Bank. Food is only one of their objectives. Control is sometimes brought about by undermining foreign governments, using Jesuit priests under deep cover to create religious conflicts. Right back up here where it says food control is only one of their objectives. Also, remember, we talked about this before a couple weeks ago about the farmers and stuff. They pay farmers not to farm, right? And the farmers choose not to farm because the money, the incentives that they get not to farm is more than what they were making when they were actually farming, putting in all that work. So they allow all the stuff, the equipment, things to go bad. They're not using it. The contracts go to nothing. And it's like they waiting on that government handout, right? So when things like this start happening, it's like, man, we should have continued farming. Now you under a contract saying that you will not farm your land, right? And if you go against this contract that you have signed and this money that you have taken for all these years, that's now a criminal federal offense. And you could possibly go to jail and have everything completely stripped away from you and your posterity forever. The government is not playing, y'all. And everybody's fighting over whether Jesus is real or not. Y'all better catch a clue on what's really happening. And they've used Jesus to immobilize you. Whether you call him Hebrew, white, black, whatever. It's all a part of this plan, y'all. Using Jesuit, food control is only one of their objectives. Control is sometimes brought about by undermining foreign governments, using Jesuit priests under deep cover to create religious conflicts. Let me just say one more thing, because I said that. Just like they're immobilizing farmers, different people who could actually be of some assistance, and good morning, Catholic, could be some assistance in their local communities. Like, you don't have to have big food contracts and for your farm to distribute all over the world. Where if there were farmers in every community, your community could sustain itself. There could be different people growing different things, and you guys could work as a community locally and get things happening where no one would go hungry. Like, you can build wells if you're out in the country and stuff, and you don't have to depend on the city water. If this is your land, you own this land, you have all the rights, mineral rights and all these things, you guys can sustain yourself, right? But when we know better, we can do better. But also, I brought that back up, just like they're immobilizing farmers, all of those who are caught in the trap of religion. And it's not just the Christian faith. It's all the other religions who all fall up under Catholicism. You know, just got different branches, but they all stem from the Pope. They also keep you immobilized by keep you going around in circles looking for some things that's not even going to happen. Some things will happen, but some things that you're waiting on, they keep you immobilized by fear tactics, keeping you like going in circles. Like, you will see a lot on YouTube, a lot of people just looking up videos on the rapture and different things like that, and it's scaring the living hell out of people. They're immobilizing them. They can't work a steady job. Like, they're immobilized to do anything. They can't think, and they're literally live their whole life in fear, waiting for some event to happen that is never going to happen. And what do? They no longer become a threat to this plan that the New World Order has been planning for over 2,000 years. They're not worried about you because you're not thinking. They got you. If they ain't got you tied up over here, they're gonna get you tied up over here. If they don't get you over here, they're gonna catch you back here. When you're coming out, they're gonna catch you coming and going, right? So that's why you need to worship YAHUAH alone, so he can open your eyes to a lot of this craziness going on, so you don't get caught by all of these booby traps that are kept to snag you in one way or another, to keep you immobilized, to fight back against what they are trying to do, take everything from you and your posterity forever, so that you will have no freedom. It's world enslavement that they want, right? And if we don't realize that, there will be no hope for our children and our children's children, right? So y'all got to come out of her, come out of the belly of the beast. All these religious sects and factions and churches, or whatever you want to call them, mosques, temples, synagogues, come out of all of them, my people, right? Okay, let me go back up. Food control is only one of their objectives. Control is sometimes brought about by undermining foreign governments, using Jesuit priests under deep cover to create religious conflicts. The Vietnam War was fought over religion. Hey, hush! The president of South Vietnam, Diem, was a Catholic and was persecuting his Buddhist subjects. North Vietnam was Buddhist and sought to come to the aid of their Buddhist brothers. You'll recall headlines with images of Buddhist monks in South Vietnam burning themselves in front of their pagodas to attract the world's attention. Religious bickering is causing civil unrest in Northern Ireland, the Balkans, India, Africa, and Indonesia. They plant the seeds of unrest, then come in with their international peacekeepers, and on the surface appear to be the good guys. The soldiers who work to restore the peace are what they internally call cannon fodder. All the while, they develop and test new deadlier weapons at secret facilities like Area 51 and encircle the globe with nuclear submarines. They have weapons in orbit which can target individual persons or shoot down planes which carry the people they wish to eliminate. Mysterious crashes for unexplained reasons occur all the time. But if you will check the record of those who were on board those planes, you will find people of prominent influence every time. Planes which suddenly explode for no reason or crash into the sea like John Kennedy Jr.'s did might not be the accidents they appear to be. I became aware of this possibility several years ago when I heard about a plane going down that the U.S. Air Force procurement officer on board. The Illuminati controls political leaders with money and sex, and as you see, these two issues swarm around them constantly. We must live in peace and trust that all these wars, conspiracy storms, earthquakes, firestorms, and other record-breaking natural disasters are signs that the end is near for Satan. Wherever you see eagles or obelisks, Satan cannot be far away. And we'll pause right here. I know that we didn't get to the Eastern Star, but we'll get to that tomorrow. So, but that's the seal of masonry. So we'll pause right here because we're already an hour and 16 minutes and people got to get to work. So we'll pause right here today. 125. Mom. And we would have gotten to it if I hadn't went back and read yesterday, but I thought it was good that we did go back and read about the letter, read the letter again with Albert Pike. All right, y'all. So we read 3rd Ezra today, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. We read Fossilized Customs, page 123. We went back to page 123, and we read to 125, and we'll pick up here tomorrow. So with that being said, beautiful people, I hope you enjoyed the reading for today. It is Tuesday, June the 1st, 2021, day 169 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 838. That is without the Sabbath days or the feast day Sabbath days added into the count. Why? Because we rest on those days, because YAHUAH has commanded us to. We got 6 days to work, 1 to rest. Take some time off and rest that hard working body. So let's go ahead and do the blessing, which is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is a Nazirite vow. Man or woman can take it according to YAHUAH. And YAHUAH spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May YAHUAH bless us and keep us. May YAHUAH make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May YAHUAH lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Christy, I didn't get a chance to finish watching what you sent me yesterday, but I'm going to finish watching that today, and I give you my feedback on that. What book are you in? Late to the party. Oh, we are in 3rd Ezra, which is found in the Apocrypha. So we read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 today. And, of course, Fossilized Customs. All right. All right, no questions over here on YouTube. So with that being said, beautiful people, we out of here. I'll see y'all here tomorrow bright and wait. Hold on. No, we won't. I won't see you here tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Sabbath in this moon cycle, people. I won't see y'all back here till Thursday. So I see y'all Thursday morning, July the 3rd, 2021, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Nope, I got it already. I got it. Bye, y'all. Thanks for hanging out.